Hello, welcome to How to Add $10,000 per month with high ticket sales. I'm Dallas McMillan. I'm a sales and marketing strategist. I specialize in working with coaches, consultants, and professionals who want to grow their business by selling more high-end products, programs, and services. I've put this training together for you if you are a coach, a consultant, a professional. You might provide a service like design or building websites. Or maybe you run a group coaching program or an online coaching program. Now, put this training together for you if you want to make more high ticket sales in your business. What do I mean by high ticket? Well, in online marketing, generally high ticket means over $2,000. You see, you can easily sell things for $10, $100, or a few $100s from a sales page or an online shop. Over that, you tend to need more human interaction. So something like a webinar or selling over email or by text chat. To sell over $2,000, you generally need a different type of sales process because people want to get to know, like, and trust you. There needs to be more value built before the sale. So then we generally use an online marketing funnel and then send people to a strategy call. So they get on the phone with us, we take them through a defined process before we offer the product or program, and then we sign them up on the call. So this is ideal if you're selling coaching services, consulting services, design services like websites, legal services. People are used to talking to people on the phone, but they need to be pre-sold and pre-educated before they come on. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting a lot of time on sales calls. So that's what we're going to focus on in this training. I'm going to show you, why you should be going high ticket, how high ticket sales can build your business, and exactly what an online sales funnel that leads to high ticket sales looks like. Then I'll show you how you can get up and running, adding up to $10,000 per month or more, selling high-end products, programs, and services in your business. So let's get into the training. I'm really looking forward to sharing this information with you. And just one point before we move on, in my book, high ticket means high value. It's all about building value for the sale. That's why we use the sales process. That's why we have a process that we can improve on and test and make sure it's all working, and why we're paying so much attention to the relationship and the client throughout. So let's get stuck into this training. And if you want to know more about this, you can check out my main site, High Value Sales. But let's get started. So what's the best way for you to add up to $10,000 per month in your business in new sales? Now, of course, you could be selling $10,001 things. You could sell 1,000 $10 items. You could sell 100 $100 items, or $10,000 items, or even one $10,000 item. Now, this is what 10,000 people looks like. Obviously, a lot more people than we can serve. So while you can build a business from this model, you're selling clicks or maybe a cheap ebook or something. It's really not a service-based business. It's a traffic business. So the margins are tight. It's highly competitive. There's no customer service, and the quality of what you're doing is often low. So we're not even going to talk about that. A lot of coaches and professionals that come online think they'll sell a $10 ebook and build a business that way. This is 1,000 people. You need to get 1,000 buyers a month to make that business model work. And I don't know about you, but even sending 1,000 emails a month is more than I want to do. That type of business model, look, it can work, but it needs to be automated. You need a ton of traffic. There's little or no customer service. Again, the quality is probably not great, and it's probably not sustainable just because of the cost of acquiring traffic. Here's a bit over 100 people. Now, I've served 100 people a month before. I used to be a veterinarian. We would see easily 100 people for consultations a month, but I had a huge team supporting me to do that, and I had very little time with each person. I had lots of systems in place, and we were selling higher value products off the back end. So if you try to run a business just on $100 sessions, you're going to end up overworked. It might be okay if it's a product like an online course, but on the whole, you're not really seen as an expert. Commodification is an issue. So I don't think it's enough. Here's 10 people. Now, I can easily imagine serving 10 people, charging $1,000 each, whether it's a service or an online course or something like that. The fees are decent. The numbers are achievable. Most service-based businesses could easily make this business model work. And look, you could sell this sort of thing online for a webinar, and you can certainly sell it with the method I'm going to show you, $1,000 or a few $1,000s. Now, here's one client. Now, one of the keys with this is that by the time you're selling something for $10,000, whether it's a coaching program or a website project or legal services, it's not for everyone. It's for a specific type of person. It's for a high value client, someone who gets a lot more value from what you do than most people. The numbers are easy to achieve. Finding the right people and closing those deals can be more difficult. I'll talk more about that soon. And you must show value. Really, people are much more discerning here, and you definitely need the type of sales process I'm going to share with you here. So if you're in this market or you want to be, pay close attention to the rest of the webinar. And at this stage, you've really got a choice. So you could go low ticket, you could try selling, thousands of $10 items, or trying to run that business selling $100 per hour coaching and fit in 100 hours per week. Now, if that's you, then this is probably not the webinar for you. And I hope I'll change your mind. I hope you stick around, but this is not really going to cover that. If you want high ticket, then it is critical you pay attention. So at this stage, you should turn off any phones, Facebook, anything that goes tweet, bleep, or ding. Just give us your full attention. I promise you're going to get a ton of value from this training. You'll find heaps of free training out there on how to get traffic or how to sell cheap things or how to set up funnels. You will find very little free training online about how to sell high-end professional services. I've spent years working this out. I've got sold millions of dollars worth of professional services myself and run 7-figure companies as well as doing the marketing for them. So I'm giving you my best information here, and I promise you that you'll get a ton of value if you give me your full attention. So let's move on. High ticket sales. Could you handle 1 to 10 new clients per month? For example, if you had $10,000 clients or one $10,000 client, both of these hit our $10,000 goal. And both of these could be done solo, just with you and maybe a VA or a little bit of marketing help. You could do this on your own. Can you imagine selling a $10,000 program? So for some people, I know, I talk to a lot of people and they're already selling things for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 upward. But for most of you, this probably seems like a stretch. That's probably why you're here, is you want to know more about this. Now, if you're currently selling things for hundreds or a couple of grand, then $10,000 can seem impossible. And you might think, look, there's no one who can buy that. But I promise you there is. And we're going to teach you in this program how to find those people. Once you can imagine selling a $10,000 program and you can imagine handling 10 clients a month, then you could sell $10,000 items for $100,000 per month. Now, this would require a small team. What kind of team? Look, the classic team to build a digital marketing-based scalable business is a hipster, a designer, a person who kind of understands how to communicate ideas visually and with content. A hacker, someone who can code, who can do marketing automation, who can put the systems together you need to make the business work. A hustler, someone who can do sales, marketing, business development. And a handler, someone who can do the admin and bookkeeping and client support. You need all these services. Now, if you're just starting out, obviously you can't afford a team of 4, but you can afford a bit of VA help. You can afford to hire a website designer. You can afford, funnel building software. That might be where you have to start. If you're already turning over, $5,000, $10,000 a month, is well worth investing in getting this built out properly and then starting to bring those team members on as you're able to afford it. You need to do that to grow. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, isn't it a lot harder to sell a high ticket product? Now, tell that to these guys. For some reason, these people are queuing up around the block to spend several $1,000s on handbags that are quality-wise and material-wise not that different from something they could buy for $100. Why is that happening? So what Louis Vuitton have done is they've really understood their customer and what they're looking for, they've made an offer, they're able to sell and market this stuff to deliver on what people want, and then they deliver a product which fulfills people's wants and needs. So even though it's not a true luxury item, it's not a handmade item, it's actually mass produced, nonetheless people feel like they're getting their needs met that they would meet by buying a luxury product. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, if you truly understand your customer and you meet their wants and needs and sell to them in the right way, then you too can sell at a premium to a small proportion of the market. And that's why selling a $5,000 program is no harder than selling a $100 session. But you must be selling the right thing to the right person in the right way. So as soon as I tell people this, I get these frequently asked questions whenever we talk about high ticket sales. Now, the main three questions I get are, where do I find people willing to pay that much to invest at that level? In fact, usually this question comes as a statement. Nobody will pay that much in my market. Just today, I talked to someone and they help parents of challenging children to better deal with them, to become better parents. And he said, no one will pay me thousands of dollars. And as a parent, I can tell you straight away, it would absolutely be worth spending thousands if someone could truly help me better understand my challenging children. And I'm sure there's people out there who would spend tens of thousands of dollars willingly as well. So, no matter what market you're in, there are people who will pay that much. The next question I get is, how do I get them to invest at that level? And there is a special process. There's a whole lot of things to get right to make that work. And I'm going to cover a lot of that in this training with you and in the free bonus training I'm giving you in the side. And then what does a $5,000 to $10,000 product look like? If you're used to selling things for $100, it could be hard to imagine something being worth 10, 50, 100 times as much. So what does a $5,000 to $10,000 product look like? Different for every niche, obviously, but there's a system for doing that. So I won't go into that in detail here. I do cover it in another training. It's definitely something I specialize in, but I won't spend too much time on it here. But they're the things we need to solve. So basically, we need to attract these high value buyers, people who see the value and are prepared to invest at a high level. You need to present a high value offer, something that makes it compelling and exciting and enticing for them to buy. And then you need to deliver a high value product. When you've got all three, you've got a high value selling proposition. People are prepared to invest at a high level and invest quickly often with you because you've developed the perfect solution for them. So to move from selling your $100 per hour sessions to selling a $5,000 program, you've got to target those clients who are happily spending 50 times more than typical clients, provided that they're getting the value and they see you as the best on the market, the best for them. That's what you need to become. So where do we find these people? Well, within any market, there's a small proportion who spend much more than everyone else. So for example, following the 80-20 principle, 20% of the market generally spends 80% of the total market spend. You can take that a step further, and 4% of the market controls 64% of the spend. So those buyers are 16 times more profitable. We can take that another step, 0.8%, less than 1%, spend over 50% of the market spend. So less than 1% of buyers control over 50% of the budget of the market. They have 50 times more budget. They're 50 times more profitable. If you're not targeting those people, you're likely accidentally targeting, the average people or less than average. No wonder you're struggling to sell the $100 items. So unless you've really nailed this targeting high value clients in your business, then this is why you can't find it. And that's something we cover in our training. Okay, now let's take a close look at how to scale your business with high ticket sales. And before we get right into the sales funnels, I want to give you some background information so you know what information is right for your business. Because of course, we're all at different stages, and depending on where you are in the cycle of business growth, what stage you're at, you need to apply different strategies in order to succeed and move on to the next stage. And I don't want to tell you something and have you apply it that will damage your business. So it's very important you pay attention to this and listen closely to work out where you fit in this spectrum, because it'll tell you, what challenges you're facing in your business and what you need to focus on in order to grow further. So I talk about 5 stages of business growth, beginning with startup, when you first set up the business, a period of struggle or survival where you're making the business work, and then reaching stability where you've got a stable business that is able to pay you a wage and start to employ people. If you can continue to consolidate there, you start reaching a point of success, and then there are some businesses that go on to become scale-ups, and they grow quite differently to your average successful professional practice. I'll give you a lot more detail on that. Now, each stage is characterized by a certain revenue. Now, this will vary depending on the industry, but just to give you some rough figures to help you find yourself in this map. In startup phase, you're just getting your first few clients, so it's just a few $1,000s per month. As you move on to struggle, you're making $5,000 to $10,000 per month, which probably seemed quite attractive when you're in startup, but at struggle, you realize actually isn't enough to grow the business. At stability, you're generally making $10,000 to $30,000 per month, and you're starting to bring on new team members. And at this point, we start calculating the revenue on a per producer basis. So if you're in a law firm, it's the number of lawyers that need to each be producing $10,000 to $30,000 per month. In a coaching business, that's how many coaches there are. But you start taking on support staff, and they aren't counted on the per person basis. At success, you're generally turning over $30,000 per month per person, per producer plus. And at scale up, you can be producing up to $100,000 per month per producer. And you can even go beyond that with companies like Instagram or Snapchat, who have millions of dollars per employee, but they're totally off the chart here. This is achievable results for a professional practice, a coaching practice, or a consulting business. Now, even more so than the earnings per person per month, the cash flow varies at each stage, and these are probably more reliable indicators of what stage you're up to. So in startup, you've got minimal cash flow. In fact, often you've got negative cash flow. You're probably putting money into the business. You're certainly not drawing a wage. At struggle, you're not really paying yourself properly. You might be making what seemed like decent money, but a lot of that is going on business systems. You're not stable yet. If things go badly, you'll go out of business, or you'll end up back in startup having to pivot and try something new. At stability, you've got consistent cash flow at last, and this means you can start to reliably pay staff. So you can start to bring on a team, you can invest in systems, and you need those to grow to the next level of success. At success, you start having surplus cash flow and other resources, which gives you either lifestyle benefits, or you can plow them back into the business to try to grow a scale up. And at scale up, there are abundant profits. So this is really the holy grail of building a professional practice or coaching or consulting business. So let's take a closer look at each stage. So stage 1 is startup. So the revenue here we said was up to a few $1,000s a month. The cash flow is minimal. A lot of the money that is coming in is going straight back into the business. In fact, you're typically putting money into the business, not drawing any out. So this could be a fun, exciting, and novel time. But realistically, it's not a business yet. It's a hobby or it's a test. We're trying this out to see if it works. If you get clients, if you make a profit, if you continue to grow, you can turn into a business. But that's why it's called a startup. They don't always work. We know 90% of businesses fail within a few years, and startups, the rate is probably even lower because often the intent is to create a scale up. Now you're building the business, you're building everything about the business at this stage. So there's lots to be done, which means it's sucking cash and time. You're getting those first few clients, and basically you're validating your business model. If you can work out a unique value proposition, something that you can do that no one else can do, that's ideal to help you grow the business. At stage 2, or struggle, we're building our client base, and we really need systems and team to grow the business, but we can't afford it yet. And that means we need to focus on building processes first and then gradually turning those into systems as we can afford it with team or technology. So very often you're sort of stuck here because you haven't got the revenue to buy what you need to get out of it. As we said, revenue 5 to 10,000, and the cash flow is inconsistent. That's what most characterizers struggle, is that you don't know month in, month out whether you're going to have the same cash flow as the month before, because you don't have those processes yet. Once you've got those, you start to get more consistent revenue and you develop stability. Now, at stability, we're starting to develop those systems and bring on team. You're doing pretty well now. You're doing okay, but you're working too hard. So the money's decent. You're probably paying yourself a proper wage and you can afford to pay your team and buy essential equipment. But you've got a poor lifestyle and poor profits. And this is a very draining time of business, and you don't want to spend long here at all. And it's a client-hungry business because you're bringing on these new systems and team. They all need consistent new clients coming in. So having sales systems is critical here. And any flaws in the business, flaws in your marketing, your sales, your onboarding, how you work with clients, can send you backwards. And backwards from here is back into struggle or even into failure. So the revenue here we said was $10,000 to $30,000 per month. And as we bring on new producers, if you add a second coach or if you add a second service provider, then you need to be looking at revenue per employee. But what's great is you've finally got consistent cash flow, so you can predictably bring on staff or other requirements. As we consolidate there, we start moving into success. Now, at this point, the business stops being so dependent on you. Up until this point, it's been you sort of doing everything. There might be people helping you, but if you disappear, the business collapses. At this point, you've often got a manager or admin team who can run the business while you're on holidays and just keep in touch by phone or something. You've got systems and team, they're working well. You can start to enjoy the lifestyle and the profits that come with a successful business. But to grow, you need to reinvest. And to become a scale up, the next step, you actually need to re-engineer the business. And particularly, you need to build the business around systems rather than around people. The revenue here is generally 30,000 plus per producer. And there's surplus cash flow. And that cash flow can give you that lifestyle, or you can decide, look, we're going to reinvest back into the business and try to turn into. Now, it's really important to remember that a large professional practice is a success business. It's not a scale up. So for example, my last business, we were turning over multiple 7 figures, but we had a team of 20 and we had 6 producers. So we were, a great successful lifestyle practice. We weren't a scale up. We'd actually acquired 3 clinics. So I ran a vet clinic. We had 6 vets and 3 different clinics. And had we kept building new clinics or buying out other clinics and going 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, that's a scale up. Although I'm going to show you an easier way to do it than that. That's a much harder way to do it. But we weren't doing that. We reached a certain level and we plateaued at success. We had a great lifestyle. We took 13 weeks holiday a year. We were paying ourselves well. We had a manager to run everything, so we didn't have too many headaches from the business. But we weren't a scale up, even though we were doing multiple 7 figures. Okay, so a true scale up, the business runs itself. The founder or the CEO or the founding team, they're focused on growth strategy in the face of the business, being the face of the business, rather than on having to deliver services generally. Now, in order to become a scale up, you generally need to acquire a new market or model to grow. So, for example, I mentioned, buying out other clinics or developing, some new product that no one else can produce and being able to sell that quickly. It really is very different from just adding new practitioners in the business. Typically, you need new marketing approaches as well. So things like launches, rolling launches, live events, partner launches, things like that. And you often need an ultra high ticket product or a recurring revenue high ticket product like a mastermind or a subscription program or membership. So it really is a very different looking business to the success business, and only a tiny minority of businesses get there. However, with the approach I'm showing you, you can move into scale-up territory relatively quickly, whereas it took 20 years for us to reach 7 figures in my previous business, and I didn't do it. The previous people did. I bought into that business already doing 7 figures. Now here the revenue can be up to $100,000 per producing employee or more, and there's often abundant cash flow at this point, but a lot of that does get reinvested if you want to stay a scale up. Otherwise you plateau and you turn back into a success business. So let's just quickly recap. We talked about the 5 stages of growth. We talked about the revenue point. So just have a think back. Where do you fit here? Where do you belong? And think about the cash flow particularly. This is the best indicator of where you're at now. What are you experiencing? And what's your focus at each stage? So at startup, you're just trying to get those first few clients. You're hustling hard to get those first few clients and work out what people will buy. At struggle, you're trying to get consistent cash flow. You've worked out what to sell. You're trying to sell more of it. You're really hustling here to make the business work. At stability, you're still hustling just to keep things working, to keep the team busy, to bring on those team, to get the systems built. And you're kind of doing 2 jobs. You're serving clients while trying to build a business. At success, you're focusing on integrated systems and moving the business towards something that will run itself, that doesn't rely on you or specific people, but relies on systems. And at scale up, the focus is growth. So that also helps you work out where you're at. And what you need to work on from a marketing perspective at startup is that value proposition. Why do people buy from you? What value are you delivering? At struggle, it's your sales process. At stability, you need sales funnels, you need sales automation in order to grow. You have to feed that team in order to keep them working, or you slip backwards. At success, you need to have scalable marketing and other scalable business systems. And at scale up, you're typically looking for new markets or new business models in order to keep the business growing. So let's just talk a bit about how my business helps with these. So at the first stage startup, we're wanting to test and validate. A lot of my free training covers that, and my strategy sessions help clients with that. At struggle, we do high value sales. That's the sales training. At stability, we build sales funnels. We build those systems as a done for you service. At success, we build out 5 projects, which are integrated marketing and sales systems. And at scale up, we do done for you marketing campaigns and launches, or you need to be developing that expertise in-house. So they're the sales and marketing needs at each level. So again, try and find yourself here. What do you need to grow? So if you need help, if you want to work with us, these are the types of things you should be looking for. And I've got some links in the sidebar to these resources and additional free training. Now, if you're in startup or struggle, you're probably looking for free training and just how do I sell high ticket? If you've listened through this and thinking, look, I need to do this. I need to work out how I can be selling things for $5,000, not $100 per hour. This is what will teach you how to do it, high value sales. If you're at struggle or stability and you want to quickly move up into the success phase and skip the months and years, then high ticket sales funnels is our product for that. And if you're at success and wanting to consolidate there and possibly move toward becoming a startup, 5 projects is our solution there. So all those links are in the sidebar. Click on them. There's a couple you need to opt in for and go through that training. There's a few hours of training there. And if you want to know more, of course, you can get in touch with us. So let's have a look now specifically how to add 10,000 per month with high ticket sales. So we've talked about the importance of using the right marketing at different stages. This is really geared toward someone at stability, or someone who's got a startup or who's in struggle and is sick of being there and wants to quickly move to stability and success. And it's really designed to help you automatically bring in new clients who can get on the phone with you and then sign up with your high-end products, programs or services, give you their credit card details over the phone to work with you for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. That's what this training is designed for. Okay, and the model I'll share with you is this high-ticket coaching training. And look, this is what's used by hundreds of coaches around the world who are doing six figures, multiple six figures, or seven figures with this basic model. And the way it works is they run some sort of promo, get people to opt in on a landing page, then they give them some sort of training. So this could be video training, webinar training, or a live event. And in that training, they make a call to action and say, if you'd like to work with us, you can apply. They get them to fill out an application form. So the people have to apply. Not everyone can buy it. Only the qualified people even qualify for a call. And then you have a sales conversation with them, generally on the phone. You take them through a defined process to work out if it's right for them. And if it is, you invite them to invest and then process payment or get a deposit or start the sales process on the call. So in this example I'll be working through, it's the simplest version of this, Facebook ad to landing page, to video training, to application call, to enrollment call, to accept payment. So that's what I'll go through. I'm going to give you the numbers, typical numbers on what you need to make this work, some critical things to look out for, and generally how to implement this in your business and whether this can work for you. Okay, so we start with some sort of ad, and in this example, it's a Facebook ad. If they click on the ad, they go to a landing page where we ask for their name and email address. If they enter their name and email address, we email them the ebook and we send them to a thank you page. On the thank you page, we make an offer. We say, here's what you're going to learn in the book. Here's some extra stuff that you should know. If you'd like to implement this in your business and you want our help, then I'd like to invite you to apply to work with us. So click on the button below for a free strategy call. And when they do that, they go to the application form. On the application form, they enter the essential information we need to know to work out if they're the right kind of client with us and for us to help them on the call and make that call value packed so we can make sure that they both get value from the call and know on the call if it's the right decision for them. And remember, we're looking for them to make a decision on the call. This is not a free coaching call. This is a would you like to work with us call, and how can this work for you call. So on that call, we want them to make a decision. We use a defined sales conversation to do that guides them through a process to bring them through to a point of decision to invest or not if they're qualified. And then we take their payment on the phone. And we'd enroll them into our coaching program. We'd sell them our consulting service or our done-for-you service, or take a deposit for a larger purchase. Okay, now let's look at how the numbers work in this. And remember, the whole point of a funnel is that we've got a defined process that we can measure and improve and have exact numbers on, so we have predictable lead generation, predictable revenue, predictable clients coming into the business. And if we want more clients, we can turn this process on, or we can increase our ad spend and get more clients. So it's essential to have a defined process. That's why funnels are so important in marketing. At each stage, there's a reliable conversion rate, and we're trying to optimize each of those, and yet they have to be optimized, or the overall effect will be that you lose money on your ad spend. So these are benchmark back of the envelope figures to give you an idea of how it works. They're aggregate typical figures for my campaigns. If I'm getting these figures, I'm happy. If they're much worse than this, I'm not, because I'm probably going backwards. If they're better than this, that's great. But the overall thing we're looking for is what's our overall conversion rate. So we run a Facebook ad. About 1% of people who see that ad will click on the ad. If it's lower than that, the ad isn't good enough or the targeting's wrong. Of the people who get to that landing page, about 30% of people will opt in. If it's much lower than that, there's a problem with either the ad or the landing page or the match. If it's higher than that, that's great. On the thank you page, about 10% of people will apply, and this is the most variable number, and it depends a lot on what you're offering. If you offer a free coaching call, you might get it higher, but then they won't buy. If you're getting much lower than that, it can be hard to make the numbers work overall. Of the people that apply, about 50% of people typically will get to a strategy call. Now, some of them we won't take to a strategy call because they're not a good match. They don't qualify. For example, if we asked about their marketing budget and their budget was too low, we wouldn't take them to a strategy call. We might give them a quick call and say, hey, look, sorry, we can't work with you at this stage, but you could try this instead. Also, some people will book the call and not show up, or will cancel the call. So we'll lose a few both from our side and from the client side. On the call, we're generally looking for about a 50% close rate of people. So some people are not qualified. On the call, we learn that we really can't help them, or they don't have the money, or for some reason they're not able to buy. And some people we'd love to have as clients, and they're not ready to invest. They don't see the value. It's not a good match for them. So we're generally looking for about 50%. Much more than that, then your prices are probably too low, or maybe some people are buying who shouldn't, who will end up refunding. And much lower than that, then there's probably something wrong with your funnel or something wrong with your sales call. So that gives you an idea of the conversion rates at each step on the process. And remember, this is to try to get one sale of a high ticket product. So I'm saying $2,000 to $10,000. And as we move forward later, I'll give you details on a $5,000 example just to work out the numbers more exactly. But let's work backwards now and work out what it costs to get this call. So we can just go backwards and say, look, to get one sale, we know we're going to need 2 calls if we've got a 50% close rate, and we'll need 4 applications because we've got a 50% show up rate on the call. That will take 40 views of the video and 120 clicks of the landing page and 12,000 views of the ad. Now you can see we're having to show this ad to a heap of people in order to just get one sale. And that's why it's so important that every step is optimized. And especially, we need to make sure we can sell it before we spend a lot of money advertising it. So when we're building this with clients, if you do coaching with me or we build you a funnel, we teach you to find these clients and approach them directly, get them to come onto a strategy call and work out what we can close them on first of all. If we can't close those calls, we won't build a funnel. And then we work out how to market to those people. Because if you've got a warm lead, you don't want to show them an ad. You want to invite them to a strategy call to apply. Okay, so 12,000 views. What does a view cost? A view is about 1 to 5 cents typically. That equates to about $1 to $5 per click, which means that to get someone to the thank you page costs $3 to $15. And to get an application costs about $30 to $150. And to get someone on a strategy call costs about $60 to $300. And to get a sale costs about $120 to $600. Now remember, if any one of these numbers is out, like let's say that our application rate is only 5%, that doubles our per sale or our per customer acquisition cost. So that becomes $240 to $1,200. That's why every step through this whole process needs to be optimized. So if you could enroll that one client and say sell a $5,000 product, what would you do next? Well, of course, you'd double your ad spend. You'd sell 2 $5,000 products instead. So here I've just taken the higher figure. Remember, this was 1 to 5 cents. So just to keep things simple, we'll use that higher figure. Now remember, these are all illustrative. They're kind of typical numbers of a very well-optimized funnel, a well-optimized offer, a well-optimized sales process and sales conversation. You can't expect this if you haven't done it before, or if you don't know what you're doing, or you're using the wrong people to do it. But just on those numbers, you can see that we can acquire those 2 customers who buy a $5,000 product for a total of $10,000, hitting our $10,000 per month target with a $1,200 ad spend. Of course, there's other costs in there to build the funnel and run the funnel, but our ongoing cost is $1,200 plus our time and energy to do it. Also, if you were paying someone to manage your ads, you would pay that on top, but this is just the raw materials effectively. And so if you could sell those 2, what would you do? You'd build a small team and you'd try and take 20 clients per month. You'd try and scale that ad spend. Now, it's not always this easy. It's often hard to scale the ad spend, but other parts get easier. Your processes get better, your numbers get better, you've got more testimonials, so it tends to even out. But it isn't quite this easy to scale, but you can see it's still very attractive if you can spend $6,000 to get that 100 grand revenue. Obviously, you need great profit margins in order to keep most of that. If you've only got a 20 or 30% profit margin on a service, this might not be that attractive. But for most businesses, coaching, consulting, etc., you've got pretty good margins, and this works well. So what's a system like this worth? What's it worth to have a system that can help you add $10,000 or more in sales? Well, the cost to design and build and refine this is generally going to be about $10,000 upward. Often 20 once you're starting to really optimize it. And if you're only doing a few $1,000s a month, you might not be able to afford it. But you've got to also offset the expense of staying at a few $1,000s a month for months on end. Once you're doing 5 or 10 grand, then it's starting to stack up. And if you're doing $10,000 or $30,000 a month, you should be able to easily invest in this, and it should be a priority because this can help you rapidly scale up to become a success business and become a scale-up business. Because this marketing system is one of the key things you need to become a scale-up, and it's exactly what most successful professional practices are missing. They've got everything else, but they lack scalable marketing. So remember also, there are a bunch of different professionals involved in doing this. This is not something that you can do yourself over a weekend. This is not something you can go to a web designer and have them do if they've never done before. There's a raft of skill sets and tools and technologies and knowledge required to get results with this and get the sort of figures I've talked about. In particular, there's experts. You need specialists who are great at doing these things, or you won't get the conversion rates I've talked about. So you need a Facebook marketer who knows your market really well to set up and test and run those campaigns. You also need graphic designers to do things like the Facebook ads, images used in the landing pages and other web pages, and any other sales collateral you've got. On the landing page, someone's got to build those pages. That might be a web designer, or maybe you've got someone who's good with using a sales funnel builder like ClickFunnels. You need copywriters to write the copy, and you need a marketing automation team to automate the back of house stuff. All the systems that actually make this automatic. Otherwise, it's very expensive to do. You need a scriptwriter if you're going to write the copy and for a video or a webinar. You need a videographer if you want these to look great. It's usually enough to start with something on your smartphone. The main thing actually is getting the audio quality good enough. The video on smartphones is pretty good. The audio is a big issue. So professional videographers recommended. Having the offer right is critical, and the big picture is probably the hardest thing to get right, and that's really what we excel in, and what why people come to us. In fact, most of my smaller clients are marketers, and they know they need to do it, but they recognize that they're not experts at getting all this stuff right. Then you need a developer to set up and integrate the application form and the calendar, and you need a salesperson who's great at doing sales calls and closing. It's very different doing a coaching call or doing a consultation to doing one of these sales conversations that results in people investing $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 upward on the phone to you in a 1 hour call. Or you can get your team trained up to do that. And you need the systems to take payment, and that's got to integrate with your bookkeeping and accounting. So there really are a raft of skill sets to get this right. So what's the next step for you? If you've been listening and you're thinking, wow, this is great, this is what I need next in my business, I just want to share what you should do next. And it sort of depends on what kind of person you are. I find there's 3 types of people come onto this type of webinar. The first one are the information seekers. So they're out to learn everything they can. And they've probably got a hard drive already full of downloads and ebooks and videos on everything about this. They might have attended 2 or 3 webinars on this already, but they haven't taken any action. Next, you've got the DIYers. They're the people who learn new information like this and they go and try and build it themselves. And, it's great that they're taking action, but of course, it's going to be a pretty slow journey for them. And then thirdly, you've got the drivers. They're the people who know where they want to go and they say, okay, well, I need a car to get there, and they're ready to rent or buy that car to get to the destination. They're not interested in, learning all about it. They're not interested in trying to build a car. That they just want to get to the destination. So depending on who you are, you're going to have a different path moving forward from here. So which one are you? There's a little bit of all these in all of us. I definitely recognize all these in myself. I've got a full hard drive and I've done plenty of DIYing, but as time's gone on, I've realized the value of investing in experts and proven systems. So for the info seekers, they're probably just going to listen to this and add it all to their library of knowledge and not do anything. And look, you've got a goldmine here. I've got a ton of free downloads here. There are hours of video content and a few great ebooks there. And you really won't find better training on this, on selling high-end professional services online for free anywhere. So go to your heart's content, and I expect you probably won't take any action. And as a result, your progress will be slow or non-existent. Now, if you're a DIYer, then you're going to be really interested in the tools and technology. And the high ticket sales funnel guide goes into detail on all the tools we use, on the processes, the steps, what needs to happen when. You can pretty much do everything that I've talked about with my free training and the training that comes with some of the tools that we use. So this is definitely able to be done DIY, and that's the path I've taken. However, it has taken years to do it. I thought it would take weeks, and it has literally taken years. So the cost of doing it yourself is, you tend to think of the money you're saving. You're saving 10 or 20 grand to do it yourself, but actually you're losing years of revenue. You're losing years of 10,000 or 30,000 or 100,000 per month because you're stuck trying to figure it out. And of course, instead, you're getting stressed out and overwhelmed trying to figure out technology, and you're not doing what you're best at. If you're a coach or a consultant or a health provider, you didn't spend years getting great at that to get stuck with online marketing. And for the drivers, well, you know where you want to go, and you know the power of choosing the right vehicle to get there, and of being able to enjoy the journey and get there quickly, and you'll reap the rewards more quickly. That's the path I'd suggest if you're serious about getting results and you're able to invest. Of course, not everyone is. If you're bootstrapping a business, you've got to do it the hard way. And I'm delighted to share what I've learned with you and shorten your learning journey. And I'm sure it will. I really believe that with what I've given you today and the training on the sidebar there, that you can turn my years into months. Okay, so download the guide to high ticket sales. It's in the sidebar. So there's a short ebook, and there's also some video training which is really in depth, and there's links to additional training which gives a detail on the strategy and the psychology behind it. So how can this work for you? Well, first you need to do your due diligence that this is right for you. I don't want anyone sort of thinking, oh wow, I'm going to become a millionaire doing this, and realistically they're just not cut out for it. So you've got to exercise some basic due diligence and make sure this is a good match for your business and your skill set and your budget and your risk tolerance, because this isn't guaranteed. People seem to think they could spend money on marketing and get a guaranteed return, and that is practically unheard of. In fact, one of my high value sales training is guaranteed. We guarantee that if we accept you, you will recover your investment in new sales while you're doing the course within 6 weeks. And that is almost unheard of in the marketing industry. But other than that, marketing is a calculated risk. And if you don't have an appetite for risk and understand your level of risk, then you shouldn't be investing. And that's one of the reasons I've given you that stages of growth training. I don't want people who, are at startup and imagine they're at scale up, thinking that they're going to get wealthy just by implementing a couple of sales funnels. There's so much more to it than that. You've got to back yourself though. So, if it does seem right to you, you believe you can do it, you've got everything else in place, you're great at what you do, you've got to back yourself. And then invest in yourself and in your business if you want to get results. Now remember, this is a long-term growth goal. We're wanting to add 10,000 per month, 30,000 per month, $100,000 per month. Now that is not going to happen by you spending a few $100s on online marketing software. It's sold like that, but that's not the reality. There's a huge amount of expertise and hard work that goes into any successful business, and particularly with marketing. There's so much hype out there, it's easy to get distracted, but you do need to invest, and it needs to be a smart investment. And the smart way is to implement proven systems. Find something that will get you the results that you want, and model those, buy those. And plan and build for growth. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people spending a ton of money on a website, for example, that won't generate leads, won't generate sales. A website's great to establish your credibility, but it's not going to drive business. And of course, you've got to be prepared to spend money to save time. I've already talked about how I've tried to save money on building websites and on learning marketing. And it's taken me 10 years to get great at building websites, rather than paying a website designer 5 or 10 grand 10 years ago. It just doesn't stack up. So smart people spend money to save time. It's been a hard-learned lesson for me. But the smart people who want to get there quickly spend money to save time, because you can always make more money. You can never make more time. And of course, we know we need to work on the business, not in the business. We've all heard it, but how much do we actually do it? One of the best ways to do it is to get someone else to do the marketing if you're not a marketer. And of course, you have to take action. You can know all this stuff. You can have great plans, but if you don't take action, if you just store it away as one of those information seekers, you'll never get there. So if you need help getting started, if you're ready to take action and serious about investing, then I'd like to invite you to apply for a strategy call with myself or one of my team. Now, I do most of these calls. However, I'm in Australia. A lot of my client base are in the US and the UK. So I do have my US sales team and others helping me at times. If you get on a call with someone, they will be experienced with marketing and selling high ticket products, programs and services. So generally you're talking over $10,000 upward. Some of my salespeople have sold programs for $50,000 or $200,000. So you're talking to people who really understand this. This isn't just some random intern you're going to be talking to. It's someone who really knows what's right for your business. So you can apply by going to highvaluesales.com/apply, or just clicking the button below this video. Now there are some application criteria. You need to be a coach, consultant or professional. So like I have sold products as well. This is really designed for coaches, coaching services, consulting services, professional services. I've helped market and sell $1 million, $10 million products and investments. That's not what we're talking about here. I talk about those elsewhere, but this application is for people wanting to sell high ticket programs, basically. You should already be selling a product or service. If you haven't sold your thing yet, then high ticket sales isn't for you. My high value sales training, we cover that, but really you probably need to talk to me directly about that if you're trying to develop a new product or service. It's really important you want to charge premium prices. I get some people say, oh, look, I want more clients, but I only want to charge a few $100s. Sorry, we don't do that. So this is specialized training and services for people who are selling 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 upward. You need to want more ideal clients. So this isn't about getting tons of low quality leads. It's designed to filter out all the crappy people and just get you on the phone to people who can afford to work with you, who are prepared to invest at a high level and are well qualified, so you can close half of them or more. That's the goal. You need to want fast results. So if you're wanting to DIY, you're wanting to collect information for the next few years, this call is not for you. Please enjoy my free training. You need to be ready to invest. If you haven't got the money yet, if you're still thinking about it, if you're slow to make decisions, don't get on the call. I only want people getting on a call with us if you're serious, you think this could be right for you, you're ready to invest in growing your business, you recognize the value here, you think it's worth spending $10,000 to $20,000 to learn how to make $10,000 to $20,000 per month. If that is not you, you don't need to apply. So apply for a high ticket sales strategy call now with me or one of my team. And the whole point of this is to help accelerate your journey through startup struggle and stability to become a successful lifestyle business, turning over multiple $10,000 per month, or possibly scaling up to $100,000 per month. And of course, there are no income claims here. It's your business. Only you can make it work. Only you can do the selling or build your team. Only you can deliver those amazing services that earn you a reputation. If you've got all that in place and you need the marketing, then this system can definitely help you. And I look forward to speaking to you. So click the button below or go to highvaluesales.com/apply. So I'm Dallas McMillan from Influential. I hope you've enjoyed this training. It's been a pleasure to share it with you. Remember to download the free training and guides to the side. As I said, a ton of extra value there. If you're confused about anything in this, almost all the answers will be in that training. So please enjoy that. But if you're ready to go, you're ready to invest, you're ready to get results now, then do book a strategy call with myself or one of my high-end sales strategists, and we will help you. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you on the strategy call.